today's a really good one, especially for this time of year, because we're starting fresh. A lot of us over the Christmas break probably had some time to reflect on what we want for this year, and I'm sure a successful Amazon business was right up there on the to-do list. So we're going to show you how to start that process today and really get stuck into product research, which is one of my favorite things to do. So
Absolutely. I could spend hours doing product research and coming
yeah.
up with new ideas and finding new ideas. And it's like, oh, that's a great idea. I want to start a new brand now.
Yeah, I know. I get shiny object syndrome sometimes. Like, oh, I've already got two brands, and I'll see something else that's just such a great opportunity. I need to, yeah, keep myself focused.
Yeah.
It is too
Yep.
much fun sometimes.
Yeah, and so for those of you who may be new, I'm Kimberly, and that's Kimberly also. So yeah, we spell it differently, but yeah, you got both Kimberlys today. So why don't we get stuck in, and I will share my screen, and we'll start the slides. The slides
Awesome.
won't be too long today because we're going to get into some live demo, which I know everyone loves. While I'm loading this up, if you haven't already, jump in and chat and say hi and let us know where you're coming to us from.
Yeah.
So like Kimberly said, we are going to be going through the best ways to find winning products for 2022. So you want to start that Amazon business, you need to have a good product. So that's what we're going to get stuck into today. And I've got multiple screens, so pardon if you're looking at my profile instead of straight on.
No,
there we go.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So few things to think about when you're starting to do your product research, things that you want to avoid. So I can't say I tick all of these boxes on my products. I definitely have fragile products. So that is a whole new problem that I have to deal with with my products. So but yeah, definitely not heavy and bulky. I mean, that'll just do
No.
you head in on your fulfillment costs.
But I think you raised a really good point there, because these are general guidelines. Everything that we mentioned here today and that we run through, they're designed to make selling easier for you. But there's no such thing as the 100% perfect product. You might have a product that ticks all the boxes for you, but maybe it is fragile. Maybe you do need to spend a little bit more on your packaging to make sure that it arrives in one piece. That's for you. That works. These are just guidelines. So keep that in mind as we go through, because I know that I have broken some of these guidelines before as well, and very happy that I did. They're just things to keep in mind to make it easier, especially if you're starting out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Heavy bulky items, the reason why we recommend avoiding that is because Amazon's fees are based on the size and weight of your product. So the heavier, the bulkier it is, the more you're going to be paying to Amazon. So, and also shipping. We've all heard how expensive shipping is at the moment. If you're shipping, a big box, TV size box versus, something small and lightweight like a golf ball, you've got to factor that into your cost. It might be eating into your profit margins. Wherever possible, avoid it.
Absolutely. And like fragile products, I'm breaking this rule. My products are breakable. And that led to some issues when I had to pivot, not 2021, but 2020. I had to pivot and use a third-party fulfillment, and was doing FBM for the Christmas season, just past Christmas, and products were arriving broken, and that really affected my score, because when you're FBM, you get held to a really high standard by Amazon. And I was getting some definite impacts on my ratings within Amazon. And I found out when one customer sent me a photo of why it was broken. Amazon will put your package into a box and ship it. They were putting it into just those little plastic sleeves and shipping it. So,
oh no, yeah.
So I'm done with them, and I'm back in the FBA. But I still, bulked up on my second order. I bulked up my packaging and made sure that everything was really, really well encased. So
yeah, nice.
It's just something to think about.
Yeah, to keep in mind. And with that increase in packaging, I'm sure your packaging costs increased a little bit. So all of these points are designed to keep your business profitable. So yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly, something to keep in mind. I would well and truly stay away from electronics, especially if you're dealing in other countries. I've heard of people ordering whole containers with the wrong adapters, so they can't even be used in the country that they're intending to sell in. You know, there's insurance is a big thing. If you're selling electronic products, your cost of insurance is going to be a lot higher. And the potential for things to go wrong. Don't do it. Don't do electronics. That's probably one of the ones I would say that's a definite no-no. And then
Yeah,
we've got,
that's a deal breaker for me. I mean,
yeah,
there's products that I would love to do, and they would be battery operated, but it's like, no.
yeah. There's extra warnings. There's extra disclaimers that you product testings. It opens up a Pandora's box of issues.
Yeah.
And the next thing we've got on that list is gated products. I'm not sure if anyone in the room has heard of that term before, but gated products are where Amazon needs to approve you to sell the product. So something that comes to mind are supplements. So if I'm selling a vitamin or a supplement, I need to get Amazon's approval before I can sell that. Obviously, that's something someone's ingesting. They need to make sure that everything is above board, that the product I'm selling is safe. There's certain categories that are harder to get into than others because of those requirements. I have, on the flip side, heard a lot of people say that gated products are brilliant because it keeps out a lot of the competition. If you're willing to jump through those hoops, get the lab tests, get all your paperwork in order, it can be a less competitive space than some other categories. So that is one that depends on your appetite for, I guess, problem solving and going that extra mile could be an opportunity. But if you're a first time seller just starting out, maybe steer away from those ones. And just a simple Google search will tell you what categories to stay away from, but they're generally no brainers. Like it's any food or anything you consume, beauty products, anything. It's to keep people safe, essentially. So toys, beauty products, consumable goods that you eat, that sort of thing. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
we've
And
got,
then, yeah, so
oh,
go
go
ahead.
on.
The price point is huge. I'm even moving mine up personally just because you need to have that cushion of margin so you can pay for your marketing out of, so you end up with a net profit. Your gross profit is one thing, but then you've got to factor in all those other things like your PPC advertising and other marketing efforts if you're doing off Amazon marketing. All of that's going to contribute, and the higher your price point, then the more room you're going to have.
Yeah, and I always think of it, would I rather sell 10 products and make $1,000 or have to sell 1,000 products to make, like, it's all economies of scale. How much inventory do I need to move to make the profit I want each day? And if you have a higher price point, you don't have to move as many. You don't need to advertise as much. It's just less things to worry about that can go wrong. So definitely agree with that one. And of course, and this kind of goes in with the fragile products and things. If you've got a product with lots of moving parts, there's a high risk in transit that those moving parts are going to break, or they may not perform like they want. You're probably likely to get a higher refund rate. It's just adding extra complexity for room for error, basically, with moving parts. So we want to keep it a solid, sturdy, small package where we can.
Absolutely. And just going back to the price point, do you think that that would also help insulate you from competition? Because more people are going to be flocking towards those lower price products and staying away from those that are, maybe $30 price points.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm hoping, and we never know when we're going live and what products are going to come up, but certain products, when they differentiate slightly or solve a pain point, the amount of extra money they're able to charge within the niche, it kind of twofolds that benefit. So it keeps people away, but then people are also willing to very happily pay more for the product as well. So yeah, whatever
Yeah,
you can
very
do
true.
to
Very true.
bump that up. And the last one we've got on that list is seasonal products. Now, seasonal products can work amazing for some people. It can be really time consuming to manage because obviously, if you're selling really well, for example, through summer, and you misplan your inventory or something gets held up in shipping, you can get to the end of your peak season and be holding a ton of stock. And of course, you're being charged to hold that stock at Amazon. It can be very costly, and you're not having that income consistent all year round. So I would recommend steering away from seasonal products. Some people love it. I know some sellers who, Halloween, they might sell a Halloween product and it's enough to get them through the entire year. That, for me personally, would cause me way too much stress to try and time manage everything so that it lands at the right time and that I'm not holding it after the fact. And again, it's just to make your selling life easier.
Absolutely. Yeah. One thing does come to mind though, this kind of like with the gated products can be a way, if you have that appetite, to do something that a lot of people aren't doing. But if you're looking at like seasonal products, one strategy could be, if you did want to do that, to look at products in two marketplaces. Like if you're going to sell a summer product, sell it during, half of the year in the United States, and then plan to have the other half maybe in Australia. So you can work with that potentially, but again, it's going to bring so many headaches and so much stress and strife. If you're starting out, I would steer so clear of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good point you raised though, because once you do start selling in one Amazon marketplace, you realize how easy it is to expand into others.
Absolutely. All right.
So I put this slide together just to kind of drive home what we were saying before. So the emojis are really obvious. On one side, we've got the thumbs down. We've got it's a glass Christmas tree. How they would package and ship that would just, I have no idea. I'm guessing half of them would come there broken. A refrigerator, the cost to store and move that would be astronomical, and it's electronic. Huge no-no. And a tiny little fidget stress ball that they're selling for $2. So to get the profit that I would want each day, each week, you'd have to move thousands and thousands and thousands of that product. It's just not worth the time. And then on the other side, I've got two examples there of sturdy. One is like a shelving set. It's stainless steel, very difficult to break. It looks quite lightweight. It would pack in together. And then the bottom one is one of those two-tiered trays, which actually flat packs. It's the price point for those are spot on. That 30, one's 58, I think. This is just to give you a visual of what you're looking for, what to avoid.
Yeah, those price points are just brilliant. Wow, $58 for that. And I imagine the cost of that is probably quite low.
Yeah, you'd think so. You'd think so. Very simple. And obviously everything that's on the tray wouldn't come with it. It's just a plain two-tiered tray. It's quite a popular product I've been seeing a bit of at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. There we go. So we've given you the foundation, but how do you know what you want to sell? You need to know, is it going to sell? Is it going to be in demand? Can you make a profit on it? Is it sustainable? And when I say sustainable, I'm not meaning eco-sustainable. Is it something that you're going to be able to maintain and continue to sell? Is it going to last? Is it a fidget spinner? Is it a fad? You don't go there. Just don't go there. Is it something that's going to have longevity, basically? And can you make it different? Can you make it stand out on that page, and get that attention from the buyers?
Such great questions to ask. I love this one. So ramen bowls. We all love ramen. This is a perfect example of what I was saying before about the price point. On the one side, they're selling a beautiful bowl. It has the chopsticks and the spoon. And on the other side, you can see all they've done is integrated the chopsticks through the bowl. They've cut out a little hole on either side. That tiny little piece of differentiation is letting them charge $10 more. And you can see that the ratings are twice as much. It's a really popular product, and that small twist of differentiation has made all the difference. So keep that in mind when you look at a product and you go, oh, I can't, how do I make this better? Because you don't want to differentiate for no reason. You need to solve a pain point. You need to solve an issue that the shopper's having. Keep it in mind that it doesn't need to be something huge. It can just be a tiny little functional change. It could also be a design element, how it's packaged, but keep it in mind that that is key when you're product researching.
Yeah, those are really cool. I like that. And that is such a simple differentiation, but it makes it so much more infinitely giftable.
Isn't it? Yeah, it suddenly becomes cute and it's eye-catching. Like, it really does grab your attention, even though the other ones are beautiful as well. I really like what they've done.
Yeah, I do too. That's really nice. So to be able to find those type of products, you're going to need the data. So the buyer demand, what is the competition doing? Is there profit opportunity, and how much capital do you need? So the best place to do that is Niche Finder. Niche Finder is so brilliant. And if you're starting out and you don't even know what you want to sell yet, if you're just that early on, it is so great for triggering ideas. I've used Niche Finder and found things like I never would have thought of. And like I said, I've seen them and it's like, oh, I totally need to start a new brand and sell this product now, because that is just so cool. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and let you do the demo, if I can get my mouse in the right place. Nope. There we go.
Let me know, anyone in the audience, have you used Niche Finder? Are you a pro at it? Have you heard of it? Like, let me know what your experience is. Because this is the first tool set in our product research suite. So you can see over here, my product research menu, Niche Finder is right at the top. And it does exactly as the name suggests. It's going to help you find niches. And Seen As today is all about product research and finding that product for 2022. There is no other perfect place to start. Oh, awesome, Susan. So great. If you haven't seen it before, that's great. I'm going to give you a good overview of it, and then we're going to see what we can find today. Now, we've got two modes here when we enter into the tool, an easy mode and an advanced mode. Don't be put off by the names. Advanced mode doesn't mean that you need to be an advanced seller. It literally just means that you've got more options in that mode to get specific about what you're looking for. Whereas easy mode is almost like rolling the dice. You can see the little dice here. And it's got some filters that will help you with that. So for example, if we want to choose our marketplace at the top, I'm just going to leave it on the US for now. I do have the option to select what selling categories I'm interested in. Again, actually, I might say, let's say sports and outdoors for this one. And then I've got my quick filters. So if I'm just starting out, or if I'm building my business, or if I'm a big player in the space, I can choose which button I want. I might click the middle one and then search, and it's going to basically just have a look at what's out there and return some results for me. I haven't been specific about what I'm looking for, but I can see already this top one, survival shovel. I don't know what a survival shovel is. It looks like something you might take camping. Very cool looking product. And the stats are looking quite good too. So if anybody's seen the niche score before, this is my overall guide on the opportunity of this product. So just remember, the higher the scores, the better for you as a potential seller. So we look for anything above 50, 55%. So the fact that this one's come in at 62, it's looking pretty strong. And that niche score is made up of these 4 components. So these are the 4 things we think are the most important when you're starting to look at a niche. So the first thing obviously is demand. You want to know that people are looking for it. And then you've got your competition, and you can see there as I hover over it, it's giving me a really detailed explanation of what those are. So the competition is basically how strong is the competition? Are they doing a great job with their photos? Are they using all their bullets? That's quite low. So I would say that the competition is pretty solid, and I can tell by the photos already. These guys know what they're doing, a lot of them. The investment requirement is how much money it's going to take to launch in this category. Obviously, we all have different budgets, so that's something we need to take into account. And the revenue potential, how much profit we stand to make if we were to launch in this category. But apart from those four at the top, you can see when I expanded it, I'm giving all the individual metrics down below. So I've still got the opportunity to get really granular and see if this product's right for me. One thing I always go to is the search volume over here. So the search volume is the unique number of monthly searches that are happening on Amazon for that keyword survival shovel. So there are nearly 13,000 people on Amazon each month typing in survival shovel and looking for these products. That's a huge amount of people, considering I didn't even know what it was. And then I usually move to the price point, because I want to make sure that it's above that $20 mark. And then we've got things like ratings, which is an important one as well, because you definitely don't want to be going into a category, for example, yoga mats, where there are tens of thousands of reviews, because social proof does play quite a big role. If someone's shopping and they're up against your product with maybe a handful of reviews and one that's got 10,000 reviews, they're going to have more confidence going to that that 10,000 review one more often than not. So you really want that rating count to be on the low side, so you can compete on things like differentiation, your images, your listing copy, and things like that. So you can see there really is so much here. And PPC bid's an interesting one as well. We mentioned before about having that price point a little bit higher so that there is room in there to do advertising. Well, PPC bid is how much it's going to cost you to advertise for that keyword. So $1.09 is pretty good. I have seen some a lot lower. For those really tightly held categories, I've seen them as high as $8 or $9, which is just phenomenal. I don't know how those big players do it, but that one looks pretty solid. But as you can see, I had no real say in what was coming up here, but it is fun to see what categories present. But if I move to advanced mode, that's where I can get really specific about what I'm actually wanting to see. So you can see my options, just setting it up is so much better in terms of getting specific about what I'm after. And data, I can see your comment about Australia, and it's right. Our search volume in Australia is much lower than what it would be in the US. We just don't have the population, and Australia is an emerging marketplace. But I am a big believer in the opportunity that is on Australia at the moment. And I might go off track a little bit here, and if you're comfortable with this, Kimberly, why don't we focus on Australia just for a little bit to see what kind of niches come up? Yeah.
I think it's a good point that it is an emerging market and such an opportunity. How many of us, I started my business, I started in 2019, but I actually launched in 2020. And everyone talks about, it's saturated, which I don't think it is, even in the US. But how great would it have been to have launched on Amazon, in 2007 or 2008? Well, that's where we're at right now in Australia. I've literally looked at my product on Amazon Australia, and the last time I looked, I don't think there were any FBA sellers. So
wow.
that they're either shipping from the US if they're an FBA seller, but there's no one in Australia that's FBA. So that means that I'm literally not even going to have to advertise for that keyword. And if I'm in Australia and an Australian warehouse is FBA, I will immediately get organic placement #1, because they're going to give preferential treatment to the Australian FBA sellers.
Did you want to just explain what FBA selling means, just in
Oh,
case there are
yeah,
anyone really new in the room? Because I hear
yeah,
that and I just go,
good point.
you need to get your products there now, right now, because
I
that's
know,
just
I know. I've just got to get. I'm changing to a new manufacturer, so it's like, come on, someone sourcing agent, let's
yeah.
get this going. So FBA means fulfilled by Amazon. That means your products are in an Amazon fulfillment center in the marketplace, and Amazon handles all of the shipping and customer service for you, which is, in my opinion, the only way to go. Now, as I mentioned, I was FBM for a short time. The previous Christmas season, not this one just passed, because of an error that I made and screwed myself up and didn't have any stock in Amazon. But so FBM is fulfilled by merchant. So, there are a lot of people in Australia who still do fulfilled by merchant. And that basically means, they've got their products in their garage or in a spare bedroom, and they get orders in and they package it up and take it down to Australia Post and ship it off. That's so much hassle. Why? I don't know. I don't understand why anyone would want to do that. I don't have that kind of time.
No,
So
no, that would be my worst nightmare.
definitely. Oh my God. And my
Yeah,
product is not like little bitty. So
yeah,
yeah, my
yeah,
husband's already like, no, our garage is full of enough stuff. Thank you.
yeah. And it's a really important point to stress that Amazon favors FBA sellers. So if there are two products and one is using fulfilled by Amazon, FBA, and the other isn't, they're going to show that FBA product more times than not first. And obviously, the higher up on the page you are, the more views you get, the more clicks, conversions. There's just so much opportunity there. And if anybody has been in the ZonGuru Facebook group, you'll see a little post I did a couple of months ago because I launched a new product in Australia in September, end of September, and it was doing 10,000 a month straight off the bat, which without any advertising, it was a very, I didn't have to do any product development, simply seeing that there were no other FBA sellers in the market, I was able to capitalize on that. So even though the search volume is smaller, there is so much less competition that it is honestly open waters if you know the strategies. So this is going to be interesting to see what we pull up today. So we can see that I've selected Australia, and I've got quite a broad selection of categories here. I've got some of my favorites. Baby goods are in there, kitchen and dining, pet supplies, just a couple of different things. So I can choose as many or as few as I want. I'm going to leave all my filters wide open here in terms of those 4 key metrics, the demand, opportunity. But what I am going to do is say that I only want to see those with an overall niche score above 50%. I want my average listing strength to be, average at best. But this one is something I use quite a bit on Australia, and that's saying the number of sellers who are in the category who are using FBA. And I want it to be 40% or below. So I don't want to be in a category, and you can even take that right down. I want to be one of the few FBA sellers. In terms of the individual metrics, I'm looking for a search volume above 500. I'm going to leave all the others fairly wide open. Price point above 25. Again, I don't want a super cheap product. And average ratings below 1,000. Although in Australia, it's very rare to see too many over that amount. And I'll click search, and we'll see what we come up with here. Now, everybody's filters are going to be slightly different as well because we are looking for different things. I could have put in a launch budget. I could have changed anything on there. So let's just see. Okay, first thing, a beach chair. I like that, but we'll see what else we've got. You can see there's baby monitor, electronic. Let's go past that one. Picnic rug. That kind of ticks some of the boxes I'm thinking. So I might drill down into this one a little bit more. Okay, so it's looking quite strong. It's got that very high niche score, very high demand. It's in the 90%. The search volume, 977 unique searches, which might sound very low after looking at the US, but just to drive that point home, you might have a product on the US that has 9,000 unique monthly searches, but there's 900 sellers vying for that product, for that click. Whereas in Australia, you have 900 searches with maybe 9 people vying for the click. So it's all relative. With this one here, I can see the price point is looking pretty healthy. I like that. The average revenue in the niche, so this is monthly, is 15,000. So that is definitely not a figure to be dismissed. I know probably everyone in this room would like $15,000 extra each month, and that's from a picnic blanket. Something I do like about this one is there are so many different ways to differentiate, like we were saying before. Colors, obviously a big one, but just even how it's folded. I like that this one has kind of a bag situation happening. This one's really bright and colorful. You could get very creative on a product like this. That's quite a good one.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
I found that in how quick. Let's see, we've got knife set. Picnic seems to be really popular. What else have we got?
It's that time of year in Australia.
It is. So that would be one that you'd want to check the seasonality of. Now, I was actually looking at this one personally before. It was a baby playpen. So, if anyone's got small kids and you want to keep them contained, you set this up in your living room or wherever. Again, very high niche score. It's got a search volume of 659. The price point on this, the average price point, is huge. So you wouldn't need to sell that many to get a healthy revenue each day, a healthy profit. And then you've also got very low ratings, a reasonable launch budget, and an average revenue of 7,000. But when I went into this product a bit more, and again, I'm probably going off script here, and I had it open. Let me just see if I can bring it up.
Some of those photos looked pretty bad.
They're terrible. So, okay, baby playpen. Now, what happens when you're searching on Amazon Australia is that it's going to show you products from Australia as well as around the world, like we said before, because there aren't enough Australian-based sellers. But what most shoppers do is they'll click this box, ships from Australia, because you don't want to be waiting weeks for the product to arrive. We're all impatient. We want it now. When I do that, there are only 3. There are 3 competitors in this niche for Australia before it starts giving you other products and products from different countries. So I'm looking at these 3 here. This one is an eyesore to me. I wouldn't want that in my house. This one is almost too clinical. This one I'm not too sure about, but it's probably my favorite. But the price point, look at that, they're doing so well. And the sales that these ones are making, this one is 15,000. I think this one was 11. I'm not sure what this one was. But what I'm trying to drive home here is the opportunity in Australia. You're competing with 3. If I was to pull up baby playpen in the US, how many pages do you think we'd have? Maybe 6 or 7 pages of tips.
So many pages. It would be ongoing.
Yeah, the cut through would be really difficult. Whereas here, you can be on page 1. You've just got to come up with the great products. But the benefit is you've got the US to refer to for inspiration as well. You can see what's doing very well over there. Keeping in mind Australian aesthetics might be a little bit different, but that's just something I wanted to point out. I did favorite this one because I found it very interesting. There's all sorts of outdoor furniture that's probably too big and bulky for me, but that's the point I'm wanting to, and obviously there's load more. I can keep going. I can keep refining my search results here. I can add more categories, but there is opportunity in Australia. Just because you're not seeing those huge search volumes that they're used to in the US, you've got to remember you're not competing with all those big sellers as well. So very important.
Would you mind going back and just showing what pops up when you expand something there?
Yeah, the load
3
more
little dots. The load more too. Also, load more is great because it doesn't burn a session.
No, it doesn't. All right, so weight bench. probably a bit too big and bulky for me, but say this is something I was very into, the three little dots to the right here, this is where I can take action. Say I really liked this, I can use the star to favorite it, add it to my favorites, or I can click this button to open it on the Chrome extension, which is exactly what I did with the baby playpen. It means I'm looking at it on the actual Amazon webpage, or I could send it to another ZonGuru tool. So if I add it to my favorites, I'll just add this one. I can show you what that looks like in a moment. That way I'm not losing track of all the niches that I find or products that catch my attention. I've got them in one place. And if I don't like anything I'm seeing here, I can simply click load more, and it's just going to keep giving me more and more product ideas until it runs out of products for the parameters I've put in. So greenhouse just caught my attention. I honestly haven't seen this one. You know, that would flat pack pretty well, I'm guessing, and you can get little mini home ones. That could be quite a good product. Australians usually love their gardens. We traditionally have quite big backyards. I'm quite liking that. And look, 0 PPC bid. There's no one.
Oh my God.
That's, yeah.
Oh, I wish you hadn't clicked on that.
Yeah, no, sorry, I'll close it up. We never saw that one. So, no, and there's just so many. But if we, that's Australia, and I won't dwell on it because I can already see we're chewing through the time on our session today. But we might take a quick look at the US and see for comparison what we're dealing with there. So under filters, I have different filters saved. So I'll switch to my USA preferences. And say, for example, you have a set of filters that you love, you want to use all the time. You don't need to keep entering them in. If you click filters, you can save it, give it a name. And that way, whenever you're product researching, you can just click it, open it, and away you go. So you can see
I've got so handy.
It is, saves so much time. But you can see here with the US, I've got pretty specific. I've filled in a lot more, I guess, of the metrics because it is a bigger market. In the US, you want to get very specific. You want a niche within a niche. In Australia, you want those big, broad categories. You want macro level, macro for Australia, niche for the US. If you take anything away from today, that's what I'd be going for. So I've left these open, but I've definitely, again, just said above 50% niche score. I'm not worried about percentage FBA because most you'll find are already FBA sellers in the US. I've said I want my search volume above 10,000, which is huge. That's big. You could start at 4,000. You could really get a solid business with much less than that. I've been very greedy and aggressive with that figure. I want the average monthly revenue above 10,000, ratings below 1,000, which is probably considered quite low for the US, and a price point above 30. So I've bumped it up a little bit. Something else I've done in this one is I've excluded a bunch of keywords. So Christmas, COVID, Mars, decoration, Santa, anything that is seasonal or that I don't want to be dealing with, I've put in there, and those niches won't show up. So this is what I'm going to run with. We'll see what comes up. It's always a bit, I always get a bit nervous about what products are going to show up, whether there's a really cool one that I'm giving away, or who knows. So, okay, we actually saw this one last night in a training we did, and it was super cute, the turtle tank.
It is so cute. I love that one.
It is very cute. And there's 25,000 people per month searching for turtle tanks in the US. So
that is
that's
insane.
Yeah. So you've got those big figures, you've got a lot of sellers. So in the US especially, you've got to look at that differentiation. How can your product stand out versus the competition? What else have we got on here? Horse blankets for winter. Obviously a seasonal product, but the average revenue is 37,000. So, if you did have the appetite for a seasonal product, that would be a pretty easy one to do. Good way to differentiate would be through colors. Maybe you could do one with the US flag on it. There's so many different ways to really make it pop off the page. And even in imagery, like this one here, the photo of this doesn't quite look right to me. And why do only two of them have horses kind of in the photo? Like if it's a horse
Yeah.
blanket, show it on a horse. It's a no-brainer to me to do.
Well, you can see that those have been put on horses and they've just edited it out.
Yeah,
And they don't need to do that. And it just makes it look really weird.
it does. My eye's drawn to one that's actually on the animal. So
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, a great example of that one. And you can see it just keeps going and going and going. Greenhouse, that's interesting. Both have greenhouses on them. I would have thought that would be a seasonal product, but looking at this, obviously it's summer in Australia, winter in the US, might be a good all-round.
Maybe that's why it's popular in the US, because it is winter and people would need a greenhouse to be able to keep growing things.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Even things as simple as wire hangers, that would be a very difficult one to differentiate, but there's 12,000 people searching for wire hangers. Again, I can load more, and especially in the US, you can just, it basically doesn't end. Something that I did do before was just favorite a few that I liked, and I'll show you how that looks. And I literally did this 5 minutes before our call today. It really didn't take me long at all, and I've got Australian and US on there. You can tell by their little flag. So for the US, a cheese knife set, family tree wall decor. I did see this one a little while ago and thought it would be a great way to differentiate in terms, like there's so many different options that you could have for this. It would be quite a small package once it's all pulled down. And the average revenue is 33,000 for that niche.
That
so the
is
average
insane.
seller, super, super popular. What else have we got? Fruit containers for the fridge. So how you store your fruit and veg. This one's probably a little bit hard to stand out on, I'm guessing, but there's, like I said, with the ramen bowl, you just got to get a bit creative. So I'm sure there is. My brain's just not thinking of it at the moment. And yeah, there's our ramen bowls. We've got the horse blanket and our turtle tank, which we found last night. But for Australia, I found quite a lot. And you can see that they're much more broader categories. So
not so dialed in and specific. So
yeah, exactly. So if I've been talking a mile a minute, if anyone has any questions about niche finder,
we've got a couple questions in the chat box that I think we should try and answer. Awesome. But and then and if anyone has any questions about niche finder, don't hold back. Let's have some questions about this or anything else. So I think that's pretty much it for the content, isn't it? So we can just open it up.
Yeah. I just, the point of today, I really want to get people in the right headspace of what they're looking for when they're looking for a niche, because it's so important. It's going to save you so much heartache down the road. And then how you go about finding it. It's literally click of a button. ZonGuru will do that heavy lifting for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Again, I was telling someone, recently, I could not dream of having run my business without using ZonGuru. I mean, there's no way I would not be anywhere near as successful as I am.
No, I found both of my products using Niche Finder, and they weren't on my radar at all, because I think naturally we start to think about what do we like, what's interesting to us, and it can be helpful selling a product that you're really passionate about. But when you're product researching, that can you're researching with blinkers on if you're not looking at the whole landscape. So you could miss that perfect product that delivers the revenue that you're after. The competition's just right. If you're only looking at things that you would buy. So it's an interesting one.
All right, so going back, so David's asked a question about a downloadable file that translates shortened expressions. I'm not really sure what you're asking. I'm missing something here, I think.
Yeah, do you mind explaining what shortened expressions, what you're referring to there? And we'll hopefully be able to help with that. Maria, you'll definitely get a replay of this in your inbox after the event. It usually arrives 2 or 3 hours afterwards. And you can rewatch anything. Otherwise, if you've got any questions while you're using the tool or need help, just at the top here, you'll see a little need help button. That's where you can watch the video tutorial, and it's quite detailed. Otherwise, there's FAQ articles for individual parts of the tool, and of course support, which is here, as well as the chat box down the bottom. That will connect you to a real person, and that's run 24/7. So definitely not on your own if you do run into any issues.
So Blythe has a good question about what it means when you look at a listing and it says it's fulfilled by Amazon.
Yeah, so sometimes you've got FBM, where it's fulfilled by a merchant, FBA, where it's fulfilled by Amazon, and then you'll sometimes see Amazon, and that's where Amazon itself is selling the product. So it's not often that you'll see that. Often it's more in those bigger categories. And don't let it put you off. Usually in those ones, there's a big opportunity if you can differentiate and solve a pain point, because the products that Amazon's selling are usually very utilitarian. I often see very creative products coming through.
I do see, at least I did when I was doing my Christmas shopping, I did notice on the Australian website that there were more products being sold or fulfilled by actual Amazon and not by a seller. And I think that's because they're taking those products that might be US based and bringing them into Australia so they have something to sell in Australia.
Yeah, no, that's right. Which further drives home the fact that there is very little competition on Australia. If Amazon themselves are having to bring these products in to satisfy shoppers' demand, it's mind-boggling. Yeah, Susan's just asked for more details on the filtering in advanced mode. So the filtering options, so this is how you can basically you're telling ZonGuru what you want in a niche, and you can get so detailed here. And I would recommend the best way to really get familiar with this is to start running sessions. Maybe start and go, okay, I'm going to use 3 different filter options. Maybe price point, but definitely try that, ratings, and the niche score. And then once you're comfortable with that, maybe you could add a few more data points in. You're basically saying, I want to find products that fit this, and ZonGuru will deliver those to you. We also have some, the videos, the FAQs, if you really want more information on, I guess, different strategies, they're in there as well. But everybody's going to be looking for something different.
Oh, okay, so now I see David has, okay. No, I don't think we have it'd be like a glossary, I guess, of different terminology that are used. If you're seeing something in the tools, often you can hover over it, or if it has the little eye next to it, it will expand and explain what it is. And you can see that in the Chrome extension quite extensively. You could hover over most things. So I think we've answered what FBA and FBM are today. And it's just a lot of terminology that you'll come across. And I still come across things every now and then. I'm like, okay, what does that mean? And I'll just go to Google. And sometimes I had one recently. I think it was IOL, and now I can't even remember what that stood for.
I don't think I heard that one either. Yeah.
Maybe I'm remembering it incorrectly, but
if I hover over any item in the Chrome extension here, it's going to tell me a detailed explanation, essentially, of what it's for. And then, whenever you see the little question mark, that's going to open up a bigger help article. But BSR stumps a lot of people. It stands for bestseller ranking. Obviously, Amazon's very driven by ranking. So the higher your ranking, the more they're showing your listing, the higher up on the search page it is, the more sales you're making. But we'll definitely make a note, because a glossary could be a really handy addition to our FAQs.
That would be good, and which wouldn't be too hard for us to come up with. So
not at all.
Thank you for that suggestion, David. I think I will add that to the to-do list, and we can start working on that.
We're both list makers, and you can see we're both like writing down. to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we answered BSR, and then Regina's asking about the percentage of investment. So high
Yeah, so
investment, a good thing. So that's going to vary for each person. But yeah, I'll let you go with that because you're the
yeah.
accountant.
Well, the investment sweet spot, and it's a difficult one because everyone's got a different budget. You could have someone starting out with 5,000 to invest, or someone else could have 50. But we find the sweet spot is between that 10 to 15K. And that's what is usually required to have 3 months worth of stock, because you don't want to be running out of stock on Amazon. So if you find that you've got a very high investment percentage here, it means that it's very close to that 10 to 15K guide. So if it's very low, let me see if I can find a low one. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'll order this from lowest to highest. So if you see one with a very low investment percentage, it usually means that it requires a very high initial capital outlay. So that's zero is very,
Oh,
very
there's
low.
some zeros.
Yeah, that's a
So,
bit scary.
and one thing, when you're looking at the percentages across any of the four, you want the percentage numbers to be high. But when you're actually looking at the numbers, you would want the dollar numbers, for your launch or your launch budget to be, lower, or wherever it is going to fit for you.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this one, a wood splitter, zero investment percentage. They're saying 150,000 to launch, with 3 months worth of stock at page 1 sales velocity. And that makes sense when I look at the average revenue. This, the average seller on page 1 is doing 150,000 per month. We're talking big sellers here. There'd be ones on that page probably doing close to $1 million, I'm guessing. So yeah, that's why that is so high. Yeah, and the average price is a lot higher too, which means it's costing you more to purchase your inventory, which all feeds into this launch budget and yeah, the investment percentage there.
Yep.
Hopefully that helps. And yeah, it's really cool actually that you can order any of these columns from, some people might say demand's the most important thing to me, or others could say, the revenue potential or the investment. Yeah, you can customize, I guess, to your best preference.
Yeah, I typically just order it by the niche score if it hasn't already come up that way, because that's typically what I'm looking for. Then I'll play around more with the orders in the Chrome extension.
Yes.
There too.
Yeah.
So
speaking of the Chrome extension, we've released the new version, new and improved, and it's awesome. And our next training next week is going into, I guess, stage 2. So today we've found niches that we like the look of. In stage 2, you then open that up on the Chrome extension to see how it's performing right now and what opportunity there is to compete. So yeah, next week, definitely, if you're around, same time next week, jump on that, because not only will you get to see the new tool, which is so fast and so much more powerful, you'll be able to understand what that next step in the strategy is to finding great products.
Yeah, and go ahead, laugh. It's one of my favorite tools.
We need to get
we have this joke
t-shirt
running.
or something for you.
My favorite tool. Yeah, I know. I'll talk about a tool and say, oh, and this is my favorite tool. It's like, oh, but this is my favorite tool. I can't pick just a favorite. They're also powerful.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, it's hard to choose. It's like choosing your favorite child sometimes. Any other questions, just send them through. Otherwise, we're pretty much coming up to the end of the hour, and we might end it there. It's really fun. Hope maybe someone saw something that we were searching today, and that could be their next product. So that is just us. Do we have a coaching program? Yeah, if you've got any questions, just reach out to support. Definitely, we don't have one-on-one coaching, but our support team is definitely we're a team run by sellers, and we're happy to help wherever we can. That includes offering recommendations. Just lean on us whenever, and obviously, the live training is a great place to answer any questions that you've got along the way. Happy to hear that you've done the Quick Start Challenge too. That's a 14-day challenge that leads people through that product selection and validation process. I know a few people have come out the other side with great products that they've gone on to launch with, and that's always fun to see that progression.
Now, I would recommend that you jump into the Facebook group if you're not already part of it, and you could probably find a lot of really good recommendations for those different types of vendors, because it's really hard to make those kind of recommendations, in general, because it depends on what you're looking for, where you are, yeah, that can be kind of tricky. But there's probably a lot of people in the Facebook group that would be able to help you, or you could just do a search and see what other people have posted previously in our Facebook group about that.
Yeah, for sure. Good point. Oh, thank you, everyone. And I hope you have a great week, and hopefully see you next week.
Yeah, great. Everyone have a great weekend.
Bye for now.